Listen, there are a lot of podcasts about the Black church in the vein of Larry Reed and King Jives.
Yikes.
But if you're looking for a podcast about the Black church that's thoughtful, informative, substantive, stimulating, then you need to subscribe to Black Church Chats. That's right. I need you to hit that subscribe button and then also hit the notification bell so that you'll know every time we go live. All right, on to the show. All right, there we go. What's up? Happy belated Thanksgiving. I hope you and yours are well. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I sure did. I spent Thanksgiving with my aunt in Compton and my cousins. My wife decided to travel. So she is in Atlanta currently enjoying her family. And I stayed behind and spent some time with my family. And it was wonderful. My wife gets back Sunday. And I am looking forward now to Christmas because Christmas is right around the corner. But I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. Hello to my aunties, Melissa and Millicent. Hey, Miss 4th of July. God bless you. Good evening to you. I'm pretty sure some of y'all are in the scrum right now, huh? You probably in line somewhere at a mall or probably somewhere at some department store trying to get the Black Friday deals, huh? So maybe you're listening to me in your headphones right now, trying to find something half off, 75% off. I feel you. I am so glad that I am not in somebody's department store right now, that I am here talking to you this evening. I'm blessed to be able to do so. But again, happy belated Thanksgiving. You're watching Black Church Chats. I'm your host, Pastor Isaiah. And I've had some technical difficulties, y'all. My laptop, y'all, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. My laptop is on its last leg, y'all. And I'm having charging issues with my laptop. Those issues prevented me from going live just this past Tuesday. I planned to come on live and do what I'm doing today on Tuesday, but it just didn't happen because of these technical difficulties. I ultimately had to get a brand new charger, and I took it to get it looked at, my laptop to get looked at, and it's working now. Praise God. So hopefully I get a little bit more life out of this laptop. But we'll see. Listen, if I crash for whatever reason, it's because my laptop just decided that it didn't want to keep its battery power. And so that's that. Those are the breaks, right? Those are the breaks. So we're going to pray that the laptop stays charged the entire time. And if it does crash, that it crashes after we wrap this conversation up. Because here's the reality. I've been wanting to have this conversation for so long. And I know that this conversation isn't sexy, titillating, exciting for some. For others, if you're a nerd like me, you're going to love this conversation. But for others, this conversation may feel a little bit too left-brained, a little bit too in the weeds, if you will. I get it. But this is a necessary conversation to have. What conversation? We are going to talk about developing an informed and integrated theology of embodiment. And I hope as you're listening to me right now, you're gonna hop in the chat. All right. I like my podcast like I like my preaching on Sunday. Y'all need to talk back to me. Okay. So I'm hoping that y'all are getting ready to engage in the chat. Miss 4th of July already has, my aunties already has, but we are talking about the body, y'all, and the importance of developing a sound, thoughtful, and biblical theology of the body, because throughout American evangelicalism, a sound and robust theology of embodiment is sorely lacking. And so we have all of these misconceptions. What's up, Uncle Pete? Salute to you, my brother and my friend. Thank you. I'm glad that you're here, Doc. I'm glad that you're here as always. One of our members, y'all. Because there is such a woefully inadequate view of the body within American evangelicalism, caricatures persist, platitudes persist, sentimental language persists, racism persists, and just really bad and backwards theology around the body persists, because I don't think that we've thought deeply enough about, here's the word that I'm going to use, the sacredness of the body. And I think if we spend time researching and studying and looking at the scriptures and also reading some other books, I'm actually about to make some suggestions here in a minute. If you're interested in this subject, I'm going to make some book suggestions here in a minute. But I really believe that if we collectively decide to lean into a robust and meaningful theology of embodiment, it'll help a whole host of issues. And I'm not just talking about the race issue. I'm not just talking about the white supremacy issue. I'm talking about issues of gender and sexuality. I'm talking about issues of body shaming and things of that nature. I really think that embracing a thought through and biblical theology of embodiment can really help people walk more fully into their status as image bearers. And so let me start off by giving you some resources. These are a few books that have been helpful for me. Here's the first book that I want to commend to you. It's called Embodied by Greg R. Allison, Living as a Whole People in a Fractured World. Embodied by Greg R. Allison. Here's another book. It's by Sam Allberry, What God Has to Say About Our Bodies. Really excellent book. And here's another book. This book is more pastoral, and it's a little bit more tender and less left brain, but it's an excellent book. It's called Wonderfully Made: A Protestant Theology of the Body. Now, admittedly, those three books are really going to tinker at the edges of the discussion around race. Okay, those three books, they're written from a theologically orthodox, theologically Protestant perspective. They're quote unquote safe, so I recommend them, but they're not going to really delve deeply into the issue or the subject of race. For that, I want to commend this book to you here. It's called The Christian Imagination, Theology and the Origins of Race by Willie James Jennings. He's going to talk about the commodification of bodies. He's also going to get into discussions around land and how we have abdicated our responsibility to be good stewards over God's land and over God's physical resources. This is a really good book. Now, this one is written from more of a theologically liberal perspective. Admittedly, Willie James Jennings is a Yale scholar, but he's gonna, all truth is God's truth, wherever it comes from. And with this one, you're gonna have to eat the meat and spit out the bones. You're gonna have to really do that with all of them. But this one, he goes off into some areas, particularly around the transgender issue and the homosexuality issue and things of that nature. But it's helpful when it comes to race and things of that nature. Hey, look, y'all, my mom too is on here. Hey, relates to health too. No, absolutely. So I really want to focus on two flavors of erroneous belief regarding the human body. The first flavor that I want to focus on is the view of the body that's often taught within Word of Faith circles. And what you're going to discover is that there is some overlap here, okay? And I think one steals from the other's playbook and vice versa. But this type of sort of Gnostic theologizing regarding the body is really rife, really rife within prosperity gospel circles. Let me show you this. Culprit number one, Andrew Womack. Listen to what he says here.
I've got a pickup, a Ford F-150 pickup that was given to me, and it's a nice one, and I enjoy it. And you might be able to recognize me and say, there goes Andrew, when the truth is all you saw was my car. The vehicle that people get around in, whether they are male or female, that is not the real them.
So did y'all hear that? So according to Andrew Womack, our bodies, sort of like his car. He gets into his car, and although he's in his car, and you can identify him as he's in his car is not him. It's just the vehicle. And then he relates that to the human body. And he refers to the human body as simply a vehicle. Not really, essential to the person, to the being. It's just a vehicle. Okay. Now let's listen to the second culprit, Creflo Dollar. Let's check him out.
Spirit being. Say out loud, I am a spirit being. Say this out loud, I have a soul and I live in a physical body. Now, you are not your soul and you are not your body. The religion uses the word spirit and soul interchangeably as if they are the same. They are not the same. You are a spirit, you have a soul, you live in a physical body.
So you are a spirit. Now, we're not going to get into the, dichotomy, trichotomy discussion right now. I think some of that is going to come out as we move forward, necessarily. But we're not gonna dive deeply into that discussion. But we're really gonna drill down on what he said about being a spirit that has a soul that lives in the body. So what's implied there is that the real you is your spirit. And the real you is simply encased within your body. Your body is sort of just kind of like a flesh container. But the real you is your spirit. Now, all of this comes from somewhere, okay? All right. Gnosticism is old and it has been around. You even had the Apostle John battling proto-Gnosticism to the point where he essentially had to say, if you do not confess that Jesus Christ came in the flesh, you are not saved, essentially, right? And so this is nothing new, but this, what's up, Troy? Good to see you, Pastor Troy, my friend, my brother. Salute to you all the way from Louisiana. Good to see you, Doc. So this view of the human body as essentially just a case, right? A vehicle, according to Andrew Womack, right? It has its roots and origins. That's right. Docetism, Gnosticism, all that stuff. And it's really, listen, y'all, this view of human composition is also prevalent within sort of New Age Eastern philosophy. Listen to Wayne Dyer. Now, if you don't know who Wayne Dyer was, because I think he's deceased. Y'all keep me honest. I think Wayne Dyer's deceased, but he was sort of like a New Age guru, if you will. He was like a teacher. They used to play his lectures on PBS, and he's kind of like the white Deepak Chopra. Okay, super new age, super into Eastern philosophy, mysticism, all of that stuff. Listen to what he says, and it's going to sound similar to Andrew Womack and Creflo Dollar. Check it out.
Suspend your disbelief. Allow yourself to know that you're not a human being here having a spiritual experience, but that it's the other way around. That you're a spiritual being having a human experience.
So you hear that? Let's play it again. Let's play it again.
Suspend your disbelief. Allow yourself to know that you're not a human being here having a spiritual experience, but that it's the other way around. That you're a spiritual being having a human experience.
You're a spiritual being just simply having a human experience. Who you are is spiritual. The humanity stuff, that's just an experience. That's in line with Andrew Womack calling the body essentially just a vehicle. And Creflo Dollar essentially saying that the real you is your spirit. And you happen to have a soul and you live in a body, and all your body is just an a container, an encasing for your soul. They're all saying the same thing. Right? You are a spiritual being having a human experience. Okay. So that type of thinking and theologizing is everywhere in the Word of Faith movement. And so I certainly want to come after that. And we are going to come after that. But I'm sad to report to you this evening that you see the same type of poor anthropology outside of the Word of Faith movement. And you see it within Christian nationalism. You see it in reform circles. And you really see it. You really see it in Black conservative professing Christian circles. As a matter of fact, Exhibit A. At
the end of the day, for Black Christians, are you Christian first or Black first? Which one is it? And it's making an idol of your skin so you can separate yourselves from others, when the whole point is that we are all supposed to come together as one race. And so my skin tone is just a feature. It's not who I am as a person. I am a follower of Christ. Right? All this other stuff is just some accessory feature I have no control over.
That right there, y'all, that's the real ethnic Gnosticism. Okay, that is the real ethnic Gnosticism. I think Troy said it. By the way, salute to Gospel Philomath, my brother. Salute to Lexington. Good to see you, Doc. God bless you, man. Glad you're here. But that is the real. This is what Pastor Troy said. Bauckham is the one that coined the term ethnic Gnosticism. If you really want to know what ethnic Gnosticism actually is, you need to listen to that clip over and over again, because what he's saying is my skin color is just an incidental feature. And then he even points to his body and essentially says it just doesn't matter. It's nothing. It's not. It's meaningless. Essentially. As a matter of fact, let me play him again. Let me play him again.
At the end of the day, for Black Christians, are you Christian first or Black first? Which one is it? And it's making an idol of your skin so you can separate yourselves from others, when the whole point is that we are all supposed to come together as one race. And so my skin tone is just a feature. It's not.
It's just a feature. It's not who I am. And he started out by saying, are you black or are you Christian? Which is, of course, a false dichotomy. That is akin to dichotomizing soul and body, right? Like, this is the problem here, and this is what we're gonna get into, right? Are you soul or are you body? Well, I'm both. God made me both, and there's no contradiction in affirming both, right? I'm not gonna spite my soul to claim my body, and I'm not gonna spite my body to claim my soul. But see, this is the problem that we're up against, both in word of faith circles and in Christian nationalist, reformed, black Christian conservative circles. A woefully low and inadequate theology of embodiment, to the point where all of this stuff is just incidental. Doesn't really matter. And of course, there are implications behind that. If the body doesn't matter, then the body can be commodified. If the body doesn't matter, then the body can be mistreated. If the body doesn't matter, then the body can be enslaved. If the body doesn't matter, then the body can be discarded. And so here's my contention today. We're going to talk through this. Here's my contention today. Our bodies are not incidental features. They are not mere containers for our real self. They are a good gift from God, and they are essential to who we are, our bodies. Yes, they have been damaged by sin, but redeemed in Christ and destined for resurrection. Your soul is you, and your body is you. You are not human without one or the other. In order to be human, you must be both soul and body. And I'm already tipping my hand and letting you know where I stand on the whole trichotomy-dichotomy issue. Your body is just as much you as your soul is. And your soul is just as much you as your body is. And listen, the gospel is not just good news for your soul. The gospel is also good news for your body. The gospel doesn't just free your soul, but there should be some gospel implications as it pertains to your body. Now we know about the ultimate redemption of our body, spoken of in Romans chapter 8. But down here on earth, how we view the body matters, how we treat the body matters, what we think about our bodies matter, because our bodies matter to God. I love what you guys are saying. I love what you guys are saying in chat here. I love what you guys are saying. Pastor Troy says, ethnicity preaches the gospel. It shows that he is the God of all people, which reveals the mystery of God. He is not the God of the Jews only. Facts. Big facts. Big facts. Uncle Pete says, the gospel is not just good news for your body. The gospel is not just good news for your soul, it's also good news for your body. That's right. Coming soon in a sermon near you. Make sure to give me credit, Doc. Doc, listen, there's no copyright on the gospel, Doc. Use it everywhere, far and near. I was talking to one of my cousins at Thanksgiving dinner who graduated from Liberty. I already know where that's going. And sadly embraced, yeah. Liberty is certainly a Christian nationalist factory. The Holy Ghost resides in the physical body of the believer, according to 1 Corinthians. Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about it, y'all. Let's unpack it. Okay, let's talk about this. You have to start at creation. You have to understand that according to Genesis 2:7, what does Yahweh do? What does God do? He forms man out of the dust of the ground, and he breathes into it the breath of life. So you have the breath of Yahweh, and you have the dust of the earth that he formed. And after that, the forming of the dust, the breathing of the breath of life into the dust, then man becomes a living nephesh, soul. Now, we often read that word soul and we say, okay, look, there it is right there. There it is. Bam, bam, there it is. Man becomes a living soul, spirit. We often conflate soul with spirit. So like man becomes a living soul. And so that's essentially what man is. But the Hebrew word nephesh, I'm not a Hebrew scholar, but if you know anything about Hebrew, you know that it's an extremely dynamic language. You know, sometimes when people say, you know, what this literally means in Hebrew, you ought to watch that. When people talk about what this literally means in the Hebrew, that's that's shaky ground when you start talking about what this literally means in the Hebrew, because wide-ranging meaning. However, that word nephesh also implies not just the soul, but the whole being, which is why the English Standard Version translates Genesis 2:7 this way. Then the Lord God formed the man of the dust from the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living creature. So notice the ESV doesn't say soul, it says creature, because that the word nephesh, the Hebrew word nephesh, also implies the whole being. So the breath of life and the forming of the dust together brings forth this living creature. You cannot substitute it. God was intentional. He knew what he was doing. He had a purpose and a plan in it. And he created all of us in his image and likeness. And we'll see something happen in the incarnation. What's up, JM? The update doesn't show JM, but I knew that was you, JM. I just thought that you wanted to be called Lexington, Doc, because that's what I see. So I knew that was you, Doc. I knew, because the profile pic is still the same. So like, let's just settle this issue, y'all. Let's settle this issue. To be human is to be both body and soul. God used the dust of the ground and he breathed into it the breath of life. Human composition is both soul and body, and both of them make you human. To diminish one in favor of the other is skewing humanity, is a Frankenstein anthropology. Now, the psalmist in Psalm 139. What's up, Crimson? How you doing, Doc? What's up, Crimson? The psalmist in Psalm 139, y'all, is going to give us more insight into the kind of the creative genius of Yahweh as it pertains to his creation of human bodies and frames. The psalmist is going to give us some amazing insight in Psalm 139. You guys are familiar with this, but like let's consider what's said here. Psalm 139, which is, in my opinion, Psalm 139 is probably the strongest biblical text affirming the theology of embodiment. I mean, you can find it all over the Bible. You can find what I'm saying to you all over the scriptures, but golly, it's inescapable in Psalm 139. So listen to this. Listen to this. This is what the psalmist writes. Psalm 139, starting in verse 13. For you, Yahweh, formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. So what does this imply? Intimacy, intention, craftsmanship, attention to detail. God, Yahweh, literally forming a human being, forming their inward parts, knitting them together in their mother's womb. The psalmist goes on in verse 14, I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. So fearfully, I am crafted with awe-inspiring care. Wonderfully, I am crafted. You are crafted with beauty, complexity, and purpose. So to look at your body, which was fearfully and wonderfully made, to consider your existence as someone that was knitted together in your mother's womb, and simply kind of say, this is all incidental, it's just a feature, it's just a vehicle. It's just the body is just a shell case. Not only does that do violence to the text, but I think it's also an offense to the God who meticulously and carefully created human bodies. The psalmist says, wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. He says in verse 15, my frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there were none of them. How liberating, y'all, is this theology for a young girl that grew up being beaten by her father or her mother, body brutalized, treated cheaply. Of course, she's going to grow up feeling devalued, thinking that she has less worth, until she enters into a church where a clear and compelling and thoughtful theology of embodiment is conveyed. And she learns your body is not a punching bag. Your body is not something to be brutalized and mistreated by you or anyone else. No, quite the opposite. Every single thing about you is intentional. So hear me, y'all. Here's the gospel implication. If God knit the body, knows the body, if he's present with the body, values the body, sanctifies the body, redeems the body, then what must we conclude? The body matters to God. And so here's the connection that we have to then make. Racism is a direct attack, not just upon people, but upon the God who created people intentionally, looking the way they do. Coddling racist is an affront to the God who declared all his creation as good. Turning a blind eye to racism, aiding and abetting racism is a slap in the face to a good and holy God who created us exactly how he wanted to. But let's go further, Black people. Can we go further? Colorism is also a denial of Psalm 139. White supremacy, y'all, is insidious because it's a virus, it's a disease, and it affects us as well, to the point where we start to look down upon one another because they're darker and I'm lighter. And you have things like the brown bag test, where you couldn't be admitted to certain schools if, when you held your arm beside a brown bag, your arm wasn't lighter than that bag. So we also have to reckon with the history and the legacy of colorism in our own communities, because that's a denial of Psalm 139 as well. And then let's take this beyond racism, white supremacy, and let's even talk about body shaming. That's incompatible as well with divine intention. And then let's just sit back for a second. Let's just sit back for a second and think about how a healthy biblical theology of embodiment would have made this country a more welcoming country, loving country, just country. Think about if all of the founding fathers would have had a robust theology of embodiment, so-called founding fathers. Think about how that would have extended not just to their bodies, but to all bodies. Think about if we as the Church of Jesus Christ actually proclaimed a substantive, meaningful, thoughtful theology of embodiment. Think about how that may impact policing in this country. What that could potentially do about police brutality. Bodily injustice offends the Creator. because embodiment is holy. And diversity is intentional. So, Psalm 139 should be really corrective. I recently got into a back and forth with Corey Minor. Well, it wasn't. I don't want to really call it a back and forth. I think that's a mischaracterization. But Corey Minor made a comment about my use of Psalm 139 on his show, and his point was just so stupid. It was just, y'all, I'm sorry. I just got to call it what it was. It was dumb. He went into the Hebrew and he tried to say, well, what the psalmist is really saying is not that human beings are fearfully and wonderfully made, but it's really describing the creative genius of Yahweh. And it's really calling him a fearful and wonderful maker. So this is so according to Corey Minor, this is about Yahweh and not about us. If you're a thinking person, you should already you've already identified the problems with Corey's exegesis. Because even if that's the case, if a master artist creates art, then how will the art be anything but masterful? It is because God is an impeccable, wonderful, flawless creator that we can then say we are soul and body fearfully and wonderfully made. And then guys, think about this. In a few short weeks, we will be celebrating Christmas. And what is Christmas all about? No, it's not pagan. So if you're listening to me right now and you're a Hebrew Israelite, I pray for you, repent, embrace the gospel, and drop the pseudo scholarship. It's not pagan. What is it about? We're not just celebrating a birth. We are celebrating at Christmas. We are celebrating the incarnation. We are celebrating the glorious fact that the eternal, all-wise God of the universe, what did he do, y'all? He became a man. And he tabernacled among us. Emmanuel, God with us in human flesh. God eating food. God washing hands. Embodied. And what do we know about Jesus, y'all? Jesus was not like 100% God and 50% man. And he wasn't a demigod, right? Jesus wasn't like, okay, he's 25% man and 75% God. This is where all of the bad Creflo Dollar, Andrew Womack, and that other guy that I played, I don't even know his name. This is where all of their Gnosticism falls flat, because out of one side of their neck, they'll say, "Yeah, all of this is just. It doesn't matter. All of this stuff is just a feature. This is just a shell. This is just an encasing. That's it." But then out the other side of their neck, they will affirm that Jesus is what? 100% man and 100% God. Without a deep theology of embodiment, you cannot make any sense whatsoever out of the incarnation. Because in the incarnation, we have two natures residing in one man. These natures do not mix, and he is fully God and fully man. So much so that he comes to earth and he sleeps. And guess what? Guess what? Guess what? He dies and he rises again. He is raised to new life. How? How? Bodily. Bodily. So much so, he appears to the disciples, and they don't recognize him at first, and then and the reason why they don't recognize him is because God is intentionally veiling their eyes and their understanding. But once those scales fall off and they recognize Jesus, and doubting Thomas is like, I don't know. And Jesus says, essentially, come here, Thomas, come here, bro. Touch me, handle me. He says, a spirit does not have flesh and blood as I have. See my wounds. Now, here's what we often miss. Here's what we often miss in this. Jesus has risen bodily. What's up? Samuels, RK Samuels, what's up, Doc? God bless you, man. Jesus has risen bodily. And the disciples recognize him. Which means that Jesus, even in his glorified body, maintained his ethnic distinctions. We know he had a glorified body. The Apostle John even says, look, we don't know what we're going to be like, but we shall be like him. He had a glorified body. He was able to do things like just appear and walk through walls and all sorts of stuff like that. He rose with the glorified body. However, the disciples recognize him not as like, who is this dude? Like, and Jesus didn't have to say, oh, y'all, it's me. I know I look like Casper the Friendly Ghost, or I know that, I look, I look no different. Like Jesus is like, he didn't have to do any of that. They recognize him as who he is. An Afro-Asiatic Jewish man with a glorified body. And so here's the reality, y'all. Here's the reality. We will spend a period of time estranged, if you will, disconnected, if you will, from our bodies. And that's at death. When we die down here on this side, our soul will travel on to be with Jesus in the intermediate state. And we will exist for a period of time as disembodied souls. But what do y'all know, y'all? That's not the end of the story. That existence, that state while it's much better than life on this earth as it is right now, it is incomplete. We are incomplete in that state. We will not be fully whole and fully human again until what? Our bodies are reunited with our souls. This is what the Apostle Paul talks about. Let me read this. Romans chapter 8. This is what the Apostle Paul talks about. In Romans chapter 8, the Apostle Paul says, "For we know that the whole creation has been groaning together in the pains of childbirth until now. And not only the creation, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly as we eagerly wait for adoption as sons, the redemption of our bodies." So the true state, the true human state, is not disembodiment. We will exist that way for a period of time. But we, as human beings, we are meant to be both soul and body. And that's what we will be, the culmination of all things, for eternity, both soul and body. Eternity will be physical. And guess what? In the eschaton, in that eternity, you know what? We will still keep our ethnic distinctives. That is the whole point of John the Revelator looking out and saying, what does he see? A great multitude, Revelation 7, that no one could number. Of what? Of all nations, tribes, tongues. So wait a minute, you're telling me languages, tribal distinctions, all of those are still there? Yes. Because true unity, hear me, true unity is not the absence of all of those things. True unity is not this melting pot type thing where we all just come together in one like amorphous ball and we cast aside like all of our unique traits and characteristics and identifiers. That's not true unity. True unity is maintaining all of these distinctions, having some of these differences, but none of them matter in terms of our ability to worship together, our ability to dwell together, our ability to love one another perfectly. That is true unity. True unity is not the absence of distinctions and differences. True unity is the presence of distinctions and differences and the love of Christ prevailing in the midst of them. And all of this, like, oh, this is not really me. Listen, there is nothing wrong, unbiblical with saying I'm black and Christian. Because God made me both. And I'm not gonna dichotomize or pit one against the other because God made me both. Why would I embrace one and spite the other? God gave me this body. He formed me. He did this with intentionality and precision. So if God thought enough to do this with me and for me, why would I now turn around and deny it? To maintain some evangelical respectability. It's ridiculous. And that type of thinking reflects, again, a very poor and abysmal theology of embodiment. Now, yes, we should not idolize anything. But acknowledging that you're fearfully and wonderfully made is not, that's not idolatry. That's actually believing the Bible. So yes, any type of idolatry is wrong. But see, this is the evangelical boogeyman. that's erected to keep people from embracing the beauty, the truth, and the implications of a sound theology of embodiment. Because, man, what does that mean if the body is good and beautiful? You know what that means? That means blackness is beautiful. And brownness is beautiful, right? Melanin count is beautiful. Non-melanin count is beautiful. And we shouldn't seek to ignore this. We should lean into this and give God glory as we do. And so again, y'all, I want to share with you some resources. I shared these resources at the beginning of this broadcast. I'm going to share them now. The first book is called Embodied by Greg R. Allison. Excellent book, Living as a Whole People in a Fractured World. Phenomenal book. The next one is Wonderfully Made. As a matter of fact, this is what I'll say. Allison's book gets closest, I think, to like talking about the implications of a sound theology of embodiment as it pertains to race. Okay, so he's gonna actually affirm that like black is good, but he's not gonna give a full-throated treatment of it. He's gonna tinker at the edges of it, and he's gonna do more than the other two books that I'm about to recommend. He's gonna do more than those. And so, you know, so there's that one. There's this one, Wonderfully Made by Kleining. And then there's this one, What God Has to Say About Our Bodies, by Sam Alberry. And then this one right here, Willie James Jennings. This one is Willie James Jennings, the Christian Imagination, Theology, and Origins of Race. This is really going to dive deep to the conversation around race. And connecting a theology of embodiment to race. You have to be careful with this one because Willie James Jennings is theologically liberal, and so you're going to get some of that as well. So you know you're going to have to be discerning as you read that. Really, you're going to have to be discerning as you read all of them. But the first three that I recommended, they're, for lack of a better word, safe. Because they're, you know, pretty theologically orthodox Protestant, you know, nothing too, you know, earth shattering or controversial out of the first three. But that last one by Jennings, it's there's a lot of good insight in it. All truth is God's truth. A lot of good insight. But then there's some stuff you're gonna be like, nah, I got a hard pass on that. So I do want to let you know. I do want to let you guys know. All right, y'all. I had the conversation, and this is a conversation I've been wanting to have for a long time. And listen, I could have gone deeper. I think 1 Corinthians 6 was mentioned about sinning against our own bodies. There's so much. I could have covered so much more ground here, so much more ground. But I'm gonna leave it there, and Lord willing, you guys are gonna see me probably Tuesday of next week. Pray for this laptop, y'all. It's working now. I pray that it continues to work. Like I said, this laptop is on its last leg, and you know, just pray, y'all. Pray in tongues if you can for it. But other than that, y'all, listen, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to the channel. Please. We want you to be a part of this community. This is a space where we do talk about the Black church. We talk about the Black church in thoughtful, substantive ways. We're not about all the gossip. Like, I didn't do anything. You know, I think there's something that's viral, there's something viral out now where some little girl mentioned something about like liking her stepmother more than her real mother. And I think the church started praying, and you know, people ask me, am I going to cover that? Like, I try not to get into all of the salacious, you know, I didn't cover Marvin Winans and, you know, the tomfoolery that happened with him. Not because it doesn't matter, but because I said this a while back, and I think I tried to accomplish this, although imperfectly, but I tried to teach people how to think and not just what to think. And so if I do bring up an issue, like when I talked about Joel Tudman and Henry Fernandez, I tried to get behind the actual issue rather than focusing on like all the salacious gossip and who's right and who's wrong. So anytime I bring up like a, you know, like a trending issue, I want to get underneath it to have more of a substantive conversation. So if you're looking for like all the salacious stuff, you know, black church gossip, there are other people out there that do that. If you're looking for black church bashing, ain't gonna happen here. I do critique the black church, but I critique it from a place of love, not from a place of political shade. Listen, I just want y'all to be a part of this community if what we're doing resonates with you. This is my mom, y'all. This is my mom number 2. My mom number 2 said, phenomenal podcast today on the importance of the body and soul. Great documentation. Thanks, Mom. And then Uncle Pete coming through. Uncle Pete, Doc. Thank you, man. He says, here's a little something for your new laptop. Doc, you don't know how much that means to me, man. You know, thank you, Doc. I appreciate you, man. You know, anything that you guys give toward this channel, toward this ministry, man, it means so much to me, and I don't take any of it lightly. And yes, Doc, we're gonna try to put that toward a new laptop, man, because Lord knows I need it. All right, y'all. Listen, I appreciate y'all so much. Salute to y'all. Enjoy the rest of your week and find yourself in church on Sunday. Go to somebody's church. If you're in LA, you can come to my church. All right, you can come to my church at New Congregational Missionary Baptist Church on 112th in Vermont. But go to somebody's church this Sunday. What's up, Rev? How you doing, man? Good evening, preacher. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. I thank God for your prophetic voice in this season, Doc. I'm just trying to do what the Lord has called me to do, Doc. That's all, man. Just trying to be found faithful. Glad I found you. I'm glad you found us as well. See you around, Doc. I'm glad I found you. I'm glad you found us, and I'm glad we found you. And look forward, Doc, to your feedback and to your input here on this channel. All right, y'all. We out. Have a wonderful evening. God bless you. Peace.